Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome to Monday's edition of the dceu Daily Exclusive here to us on Big Mouth. If you're feeling charitable, please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and after the video, please go over to Twitter and follow me at Movies TV Mad. So today we are pitting Suicide Squad against Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I'm going to contradict myself here. I'm still going to say I love Birds of Prey. It's a really entertaining film. Not being the best thing ever, but definitely a really, really good film. I certainly did expect it to make more money than it did, because I said that many months before it was released. But once I saw the box office for it, I started to realise that this was a very, very small film that was never going to make the money I dreamed it would make or wanted it to make. So let's talk about Birds of Prey and let's put it against Suicide Squad. I'm going to be honest here. I think even though Suicide Squad is a studio edit and not the vision that David Ayer actually filmed, it's still a pretty good CBN. It's really good. I like it. I love Margot Robbie's performance in it. I love Will Smith's performance in it. I love every actor's performance in it. It's actually a great setup. Suicide Squad actually sets up the fact that Superman is dead. And this darker world has become a darker world because Superman isn't in it anymore. One of the things that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up is when when Viola Davis's character Waller says Superman shocked the world when he flew across the sky. No, Superman changed the world when he flew across the sky. He changed it again when he didn't. This is great commentary after Batman v Superman. It shows you an integrated, connected universe, and it's brilliant, and it shows you what Snyder's vision was as well. This is front and centre part of the Snyderverse. So I really love Harley Quinn in this movie, and I really prefer her to what they did with her in Birds of Prey. I think she's great in Birds of Prey, and she's still Harley Quinn, and she's great. And the reason isn't like the idiots were saying about how she's dressed. And one of the issues are in Suicide Squad that she is at times really, really sexualized, like when she's bending over and they're all looking at her backside. It isn't good. So these are the things that Margot Robbie has spoken about, the male gaze. Now, you've got to understand that Margot Robbie comes from Australia. Now, chauvinism and sexism is a big thing in Australia. Many, many Australian males, especially the older ones, are very, very sexist and set in their way. So she comes from a different world to you and me and most women. So this would have been a very important piece of commentary for her. She really wanted to make Birds of Prey. She really wanted a girl gang movie, and she wanted to make the commentary the movie made. Unfortunately, the commentary in the film is a fictional commentary. The moment in the film when Black Canary is singing It's a Man's World. Question to Kathy Yan and Margot Robbie. If it's such a man's world, have you been able to make this film? It's a fair question, right? More men obviously run Hollywood than women. That's true. Is it fair? No. But the feminist alt-left commentary in this film is nuts. And it's blatant and it's crazy. And I've kind of categorized this already. But what you do get in this film is kind of, even though it's part of the DCEU, you've got this weird situation where Jared Leto isn't in the film as Joker, but he is kind of categorized and mentioned, and you even see a moment when his back is turned to the camera. And the body double is great. Just imagine if Jared Leto is actually in this movie. And as well as Black Mask, the Joker is actually a villainous figure in this movie. And you see some great things with the Joker versus Black Mask. They're having this kind of turf war. How interesting would that have been? But they didn't do that. because they already betrayed Jared Leto, and Jared Leto isn't coming back to DC or Warner Brothers anytime soon, because, as I say, they betrayed him. But when I look at, there's a brilliant scene for a comparison here between Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. As I say, Suicide Squad is a studio-edited movie. It's not David Ayer's vision. I'm sure David Ayer's vision is even better. But I really like the Suicide Squad movie. Again, like Birds of Prey, it isn't the best thing ever, but it's a good film, and it's a great part of the DCEU, as Birds of Prey is. The two things that made sure Birds of Prey wasn't going to be a blockbusting, record-breaking box office hit. One, when you look at the film, you think, was there really any point of this film being R-rated? There's minimal moments in the film where you see, oh, yeah, that's why it's R-rated, right? It's like the Joker movie. There are some brutal moments in it, but if you cut those brutal moments in it, it doesn't really hurt the narrative. It still could have been a mainstream movie where everyone could have gone to see. The difference is with Joker, everyone sneaked in the theatres and watched it. The R-rated situation didn't hurt it because people wanted to go in there. They had a reason. The reason was Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, and the trailers, and people knew they were going to get something very special. And we knew we were going to get important commentary about mental health, something that affects men and women. The commentary wasn't about men's mental health. It's about how society views people suffering with poor, ill mental health. So what's the commentary in Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn? It's men and how men treat women. And female rage is one of the commentaries in the film because Kathy Yan has said this on Twitter. They believe that these alt-left feminists believe these are very important issues that should be echoed in films. Now, unless you're an alt-left feminist female, you don't really care. These things are not important to you. But I'll tell you what is important to you, mental health. Because mental health affects all people. But the issues they're talking about are really issues that really affected women 20, 30 years ago. For example, the male gaze thing. We have incidents in the movie where Harley Quinn wants to buy whatever that animal is, right? And he's basically saying, if you shag me, you can have it. So I think the animal ends up eating the guy. I think that's what actually happens, right? If I remember rightly. And again, they're trying to make points about men. Now, obviously, I'm just going to sound like a mansplainer because I'm trying to explain the position of men. So that makes us a mansplainer, and that makes my points, I suppose, to them null and void. So when you look at Suicide Squad and you look at Margot Robbie's performance, at that moment in the bar, you know, when she basically says, you know, this is who we are. We're damaged people. Deal with it. It's a really gripping, well-written scene and directed scene, and also Margot performs the hell out of it. There's really nothing that deep about Birds of Prey. And then you look at the Birds of Prey themselves. I enjoyed them to a point, but as we already knew before we went into the movie, these people were guest stars in this film. Rennie Montoya was a guest star in this film. The rest of the Birds of Prey were guest stars in this film. This film starts off as Birds of Prey and then says Harley Quinn's name at the end. Now, we know certain theatre companies started to put Harley Quinn's name at the beginning because they felt Harley Quinn, some people didn't realise Harley Quinn was in it. Everybody knew within the marketing that Harley was in this film. There was nobody out there that thought, I didn't know Harley's in this film, I better not go, I better go, right? That was never really the issue. The issue here with this film was the R-rated nature of it, because this film should never have been R-rated, never. There was nothing in this film that tells me that this film should be R-rated. This film, instead of having deep commentary on the character of Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn was never created to be a feminist icon because she isn't. There's a lot to say about what Bruce Timm created with Harley Quinn, and she's a great creation, but she basically is this woman who was a psychologist, a criminal psychologist in Arkham. And then because she falls in love with the Joker, her insanity takes over. There was insanity within her already. It had to be on the surface, and he manipulates that. So Birds of Prey tried to use this situation saying that Joker is like all men, manipulating women to get them into bed or to get a relationship with them. Men and women both manipulate people. But again, it's this I tell you what, the feminist commentary in Birds of Prey is very, very whiny. There's constant complaints and moaning about what women have to put up with. No one wants to go to the cinema and see that. It's interesting that the response from critics was the way it was. I was surprised. Again, I really enjoyed the movie. I'll be watching it again and again and again. It's a really good, entertaining piece of cinema. It's not groundbreaking. It's not unique. It doesn't really do anything for women's lib. One of the things, the criticisms I'll label at Birds of Prey is the lack of fleshing out for every other character who isn't Harley Quinn. Now, Margot Robbie wanted to do a girl gang movie, but she certainly made sure she was the star of the show, didn't she? So she wasn't really too interested in the other women being fleshed out. But surely if you want to make alt-left feminist commentary, if you want to have this women supporting women thing, wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it make sense to actually flesh out the other female characters if you're really trying to support feminism? Doesn't make sense, does it? There's contradictions there already. And then you've got Bertinelli, right? The woman's name is, right? She ends up being this person who keeps on trying to say her character name, right? Her double identity name, right? I forgot what it was now. And it becomes a joke. And when they're all sitting there eating breakfast or whatever they're eating, she seems like they're trying to make her a comedy character. They're making her into a fool. And it's weird. It's just weird thinking. So when I look at Suicide Squad, I see a film that's trying to flesh out all of its characters. None of its characters can go by the wayside. I like Jay Courtney's performance as Captain Boomerang. I think he's brilliant. Now, he's one of the lesser focused characters within the film, and there's other characters that don't get much time, but you still feel there's potential with those characters, and you really want to see them again. When I look at the Birds of Prey, I think, really? You're not really the women I know from the comics. And there lies the problem. I believe Walter Hamada agreed to this film because he knows the timeline's going to change. If not in Wonder Woman 1984, definitely in the Flashpoint movie, right? We know that. The directors already said that. So anything that happened in Birds of Prey can be, do you know what? Let Margot have her little movie. I've said that before. But we're just going to crap all over it anyway. It's kind of funny. A Birds of Prey movie could have been much more than it was. But if you're asking me what the better movie is, not because Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn was sexualized in it, that's not the reason. She looks like Harley Quinn. She feels like Harley Quinn. She feels dangerous. She feels lopsided, if you like. And it's a brilliant performance. And her performance alongside Will Smith really strengthens both their roles. Suicide Squad is a great piece of cinema, as far as I'm concerned. And Birds of Prey, although I found it very entertaining and I like the performances, I think the director didn't particularly do the greatest job of directing. The actors, I felt that a lot more could have been done with this film. And in the end, when I look at what the film's trying to say, I question it and I think, the commentary about misogynism, and toxic masculinity, I kind of felt that they didn't get to their point. They were too scared to get to their point. And ultimately, why are you doing it? What's the point? I understand why a film like Joker is trying to, get people to talk about being kinder to people, about mental health for men and women of society and how governments don't support mentally ill people. That's a great piece of commentary. But although I enjoyed Birds of Prey, and as I say, it's going to be a great part of the DCEU, ultimately, it's a film that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter that that film didn't make 500 million. It doesn't really matter that the fandom menace tried to destroy the film because of the commentary it tried to make. None of it matters. It's not a disastrous film. It's not a bad film. It's not the best film ever. It's just an okay film. But the alt-left feminist commentary and the R rating stopped it from making more money. These kind of films always end up the same way because there's not a genuine attempt to make a good film, a good adaptation of the Birds of Prey characters, a good adaptation of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. It's not a bad version of Harley. It's still Margot being Harley, and she's great. In fact, the way Margot plays Harley in this film is more like the animated series than what we saw in Suicide Squad. It's clear to me that Margot didn't like the male gaze stuff in Suicide Squad. And I agree, there was no need for some of that kind of sexual kind of narrative. It was stupid. And I'll never forget the moment when she bends over and they're all looking at her. That was ridiculous. Should never have happened, and there were other elements. But I still say that the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn is much better than what we saw in Birds of Prey. But Birds of Prey ultimately is a forgettable film that's not a failure. It's not a big success. It's just there. It's Ant-Man. That's what it is. It's Ant-Man. It doesn't matter what it does. It doesn't hold any consequences for the DC cinematic universe. A highly prominent female, artist, actor, Margot Robbie, wanted to make a movie that makes a point about alt-left feminism. And she made that point. She got what she wanted. Walter Hamada gave her something that really didn't matter. Ultimately, that film won't stay in anybody's mind for a very long time, and it's going to be retconned anyway after the timeline changes in Wonder Woman 1984 and the Flashpoint movie. So everybody's happy. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. It really doesn't matter. But absolutely, Suicide Squad, for me, is the much better movie and the much better version of Harley Quinn. And we even get, in the extended version, we even get more stuff between her and the Joker, which is brilliant. But one of the mistakes in this film is that Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada and Ann Sarnoff should have gone cap in hand to Jared Leto and said, you know what, Jared, we're going to release the haircut. We want you back as the Joker. We've got a Joker in the Black Label universe, but you're our Joker in the DC Extended Universe. And they should have gone cap in hand and made him a big player in this film. Because however you feel about Jared's version of the Joker, more people would have gone to see it if he was in it. More people would have gone to see it if there was more interactions. In fact, I'll go further. Even though I like Birds of Prey, this shouldn't even have been the film they attempted to do. They had the Sirens, right? They had Joker and Harley movie in the can to do. And they never did it. Joker and Harley should have been the film we saw 3 weeks ago. People would have gone to see it. They would have ate that up. People want to see Joker and Harley interacting, being this couple, falling out, killing people. That's what people want to see. But instead, Margot Robbie, her production company, and Kathy Yan gave people something they weren't particularly interested in. Because ultimately, they didn't give us the comic book versions of those characters. Harley Quinn pretty much is Harley Quinn. I just think there's a better version of Harley in the Suicide Squad movie. Give the people what they want. The consumer is king. I know there's articles talking about fan entitlement. Should people making films listen to the fans? Well, it's simple. We know that the consumer kind of creative relationship, whether it's making ham or making movies, we know that the companies don't give a shit about us. We get that and we respect that. They're just there to make money. But ultimately, without our money, you can't exist. And without you making content, we can't coexist. So the thing you do to make money is You give the people what they want. And this film, quite simply, wasn't the film the people wanted. The film people wanted was Harley and the Joker. That's the mistake. That's your mistake. Learn from your mistakes and create a brilliant DC cinematic universe and give the people what they want. Please like, share and subscribe. Comment down below and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. See you tomorrow.